Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic in the wonderful AAA studios at MusicTown inside of Hockeytown. And thanks to our sponsor, Children's Hospital of Michigan Foundation as well. Every week I do this show, bring in local talent and sit down and talk with them, hear some great music. And again, this week we have special guest, J.C. Whitelaw. Hello, J.C.
Thanks for having me. What you're doing is really cool. Billy Brandt turned me on to your show, and I've checked out a couple of episodes, and really cool.
You checked me out, huh?
I checked you out, checking it out, clicking away, and I think what you're doing is really awesome.
Well,
Because there's so much talent in this town, and
exactly.
to be able to share that this way is really great. So good on you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, I love being able to bring in these artists and just expose them to everybody else around here, because the musicians know of you, especially if you're you jump from band to band, or help out other musicians. People get to know you that way in the musicians world, but there's so many people out there that don't do that and aren't a musician but don't know about the local talent we have here. So I'm happy to spread the word through
absolutely.
this great show.
There's a long legacy. It hasn't stopped. There's great talent here, and it has been since the 20s, right?
Oh, at least, yeah. And, and that's the thing about MusicTown is, we know the talent here, and, we know that, there's L.A. and New York and Chicago, and there's Austin and Nashville and all of that, but Detroit is, can be a big hub as well. Can be, because it used to be, and it just kind of waned, but we're bringing it back, and with MusicTown, that's part of the reason and helping all of that come back. So, yeah, Michigan, when people talk music, they're going to say Detroit.
Absolutely.
If they haven't yet, they are going to. That is our mission.
It definitely, it ebbs and flows for sure, right?
Yeah. There's so much talent here. Well, let's talk about your talent, JC.
I like to be incled in that circle.
Well, good, yeah. We want to include you.
Thank you. Thank you for including me in that.
Sure, for sure. Just JC, tell us what that stands for.
Actually, yeah, JC is actually my is a short form of John Campbell, because my whole first name is JohnCampbell. My parents are Scottish, and they came in right off the boat in the 60s, immigrated into Canada, and that's where my sister and I were born. Okay. And then my parents kind of split up. And my mom took me and my sister up to North Ontario, Canada, a place called Haliburton, which is, I was there till about 12 years old. And then my parents pulled it back together. My dad was working here in Detroit as a commercial artist. And things got better between them. So
I love hearing those kind of stories.
Yeah, it was cool. And then they kept the place up in Haliburton. So that was like always sanctuary for our family for 20-something years. But yeah, moved down here, 77. I immigrated to the United States. Okay. I'm still Canadian. I haven't given up my Canadian citizenship.
We won't hold that against you. We love our Canadians.
Well, I always like to have an escape plan, right? Just in case.
That didn't sound good, JC. I need an escape plan.
Well, you never know. You always got to think about
plan B. Always
plan
have
B.
Something in your back pocket there, just in case.
Yeah. But I grew up in Neil Young country.
Yes.
So and I had some mates up there through the years who I played music with, and kind of was my intro to understanding what that all meant. Okay. I started playing at the age of, I loved rock and roll from the get-go. From 3 and 4 years old, I was just loving it. And my dad was actually, besides being here in Detroit, was in London, was in England. Went back to England to do a bunch of work over that way, and every time he'd come back, he'd bring the Top of the Pops stack of records for my sister, right? And so she'd be checking those out, and I was just right into that stuff. Loving production and music.
Envision, when parents come from on a vacation, what'd you get?
Yeah.
And there you are waiting for
records.
The albums.
Yeah.
Oh, how cool.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we had a great little stereo, and we'd crank those things out. And that was, it was just a natural thing. It progressed into...
Which one of those albums really influenced you? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. I remember them. I can sing them for you.
Oh. Really had an impression.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah, absolutely. They were like... for lack of better terms, they were like Bibles to me. They were like sound of these things, and how do you do that? And that was all part of my little inquisitive mind at the time. But Cat Stevens was a huge. I listened to him all the time.
Great songwriter.
Great songwriter, and just loved his whole story and where he was coming from. And I didn't know any of this backstory stuff. I just heard what the grooves were giving me, And
sometimes it's better that way. Just let me hear what you've got.
Absolutely,
Yeah, I don't care what all that other
that's something
garbage is.
Yeah, or to
Yes.
actually talk about songs. It's like, I'm going to tell you what the song's about. And my partner Rosalie, I had written a whole paper about it, like the interpretation of what music does for you as a person, and not. You don't have to spoon feed them let them have their own experience with that. And I really bought into that. That's really cool. It's a little hard to do considering this record that I'm releasing pretty soon is pretty kind of autobiographical, but I still think it's I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay, yeah, we'll
but going
talk
back
about
to
the new
back to the first records and Traffic, really blew me away. There was a song 30,000 Headmen.
40,000.
40,000, not 30,000. Sorry, I'm
Sorry, I didn't mean.
I'm Scottish. I'm always on the budget. That's
Great album.
the way I play it, it's 30. Okay. Can't afford the 40.
Yeah, good stuff there, Trevor. Yeah.
And, as a matter of fact, I just saw Steve Winwood. He's just
great talent.
still remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, amazing, right?
Yeah.
In his 70s and hitting every single note
really?
that he ever hit in his career. I mean, no, they didn't change the pitch. I mean, as we get older, we, have to drop it down.
Right.
No, he's singing it right in key, right in
love
sync,
it.
and like as powerful and as strong as ever. I really was blown away, and I've seen him a couple of times. I saw him open up for Tom Petty last time. Not the last time Tom was through, the time before that, but he was just killing it. He's just a remarkable talent.
That was I saw Dave Mason when he's been doing his solo stuff, and he calls it the Traffic Jams or something.
Oh, cool.
And so you get some great stories about Traffic and him with Steve Winwood and everything. And that's if you get a chance to see Dave Mason's solo, it's really and he's funny.
Yeah,
he is a funny man.
He is a character.
That's good. So it's all right. So Traffic,
Yeah,
Cat Stevens.
Traffic, Cat Stevens. I mean, obviously, and Stones, Beatles, obviously. I mean, that was just a staple for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, and you said Neil Young because he's Canadian.
Yep. Actually, I didn't get into Neil till later. I was getting more influenced by British artists because those were the records, and then we had radio. We only had one channel in our. We only had one AM channel that was blown up from Toronto that we were able to dial in.
Just one. I hope it was a good one.
Yeah, it was great. It was all it was all top 40 AM radio of the 70s.
Okay.
And so they'd be playing late 60s. It was all great radio.
Yeah.
It was all great music. It wasn't like, well, not just. I'm not going to get on a trip about where music's gone as far as pop radio goes. That's a whole different thing. But
don't go there.
From the stuff that I loved and the stuff that I was brought up on, it was all. Songwriting based and guitars, and I fell in love with guitars. I mean, I am a guitar freak.
Did you learn by listening to those records, or
Yes.
did you? Okay.
Yep. I never took a lesson.
Never. Okay.
I just the trick on that was. I was even putting on concerts. I didn't know even how to play. And at like the age of 8, I'd get my buddies over and we'd set up in the basement and get all our friends to come over and play and then basically lip sync, to these rock and roll records. The kids loved it. They were like, they're cool because we had the moves now, We were getting it all together.
You had all the girls in the front row with all those moves?
It was always the drummer. The drummer always got the girls, not me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was trying to be the songwriter, guitar player. Oh, no.
That's funny.
But yeah, it was great times. And then I wanted to play so badly, and I'm like, "Can I get a guitar?" To my parents, and they're like, well, "You'll pick it up and you'll put it down, and we're not making that kind of investment." And I was like, "Okay, fine." So then my dad says to me, he used to play trumpet when he was a kid back in Scotland, and he said, "Look, if you commit to playing a brass instrument through school, through music for a year, I'll get you a guitar."
Oh, wow.
So I said, "Okay, cool. I'm in. I'll do it. Whatever I got to do." And I did the whole band
Which one
thing.
did you pick up?
Trumpet.
Trumpet, okay.
Yep. Yeah. I loved Louis Armstrong. I thought, hey, I can play like that. No.
At least you had high ambitions and, a goal to strive for.
Yeah. So, got through a year of it, and played and did the thing, and it was, terrible.
This is probably 6th grade, middle school.
And
I
I
don't
think
know
they
if
stole
Canada's
the
the same
Highland.
thing.
Do you remember the Highland Appliance commercial where the kid would like practice and record himself playing?
Vaguely.
I actually did that.
That was you?
I would do that.
Oh, you would follow it. Okay, that wasn't you on the TV.
No, that
okay.
wasn't me in the clip. Though I did do a couple of those because my dad was in the ad business. and
Right.
I remember doing a Chef Boyardee thing where I was just like a still ad for magazine for print, and I was had a bunch of spaghetti sauce on my lip. And
Do you still have
there.
copies of those? They're priceless.
I found it online just a little while ago. I was
That's
like,
funny.
oh my God, that's hilarious. I'm like 8.
So
7.
your musical fans are going to be Googling, trying to find this picture of you blackmail for Tell the Road or
exactly.
something.
No, it's cute.
Oh,
it's
that's
all right.
sweet.
But
Oh.
I want my spaghetti and meatballs, Chef Boyardee, for free.
Oh, I love it.
So I did. I got through the year, and my dad was working out in New York, and he went to Manny's Music, and he bought me a Fender Lead 1 and an amplifier. And he could have bought it here, but he was at Manny's, and he bought it there. So my first guitar is from Manny's, which is a pretty big deal. And I put that thing in my hands, and I haven't put it down in 40-something years, and just started going at it. And I'd watch other players and see what was going on, but really it was kind of, I really gave myself a hard time because I could have discovered things a lot faster if somebody had told me, but
Right.
I always do things the hard way. So
Well, I have to give you credit, just to do that. I mean, it helps, like you said, if you get some instruction, but you were obviously passionate about this.
really
and-
passionate,
Yeah.
really passionate about and then because I was always writing songs or writing little stories about because it was like a
It was
complete
in you.
natural.
It was meant to be that
Yeah,
this
I was
is what you
supposed
do.
to be doing this,
Yeah.
or a part of me, but it's a
Yeah.
huge part of me. And so I remember getting my first rock band together, which was with a couple of mates from here in Michigan, who's actually Nino Dimitrition was the first real drummer I ever really played with, and he ended up being in Ashcan Van Gogh, which is a little later in the story. But Nino and I would get together. I think we were 12, 13, and we started just bashing it out. It was terrible. Our parents were so nice to us by letting us do this, and we practiced like every weekend. We were like, okay, band practice Saturday morning. Bang was over there like by like 11, and we'd drive the parents crazy for a good 3 or 4 hours.
Well, it's probably also good your parents knew where you were and what you were up to, so that that's another
so
thing.
we did that whole thing and loved it and got all crazy thinking we were going to be let's do the
Superstars,
thing.
yeah.
But I, honestly, what it came down to was always about playing cool songs, just songs.
All right.
And so the songwriting developed through that process, and then I'm influenced by everything I hear. So
Yeah.
it just became more and more a natural process and a craft in a way.
Yeah.
Though I don't claim to be like the greatest songwriter or anything, but I can write a song and it's pretty
important.
Cool.
If this is what you're doing, writing is good. I tell you what, let's hear a song.
Let's segue.
Let's
right? It's a great segue.
Let's see what this
So
this
we're
is
still
all
muted
about.
here, right, Ryan? Just let me get plugged in.
Yeah, Ryan, our engineer back there.
Yes, thanks for all your help, buddy.
Yes.
So, let's see. Well, we'll get to the whole songwriting story thingy,
Yes.
whatever. But I've got a record coming out. One that was actually supposed to be. I just started it to record because I've done that my whole career. It's just record. I'm sitting on like 7 albums I've never released.
Wow.
And this one was like we just started doing demos, and because all this writing stuff started happening kind of heavily in the last couple of years with some crazy
It's like,
stuff
I better
going
get this
on.
down,
Yeah, I better. Yeah. Well, it was just kind of what was going on, and just all the stuff started coming out, and that's been a thing for me. Is I feel like the best way I can explain it is I'm an antenna, because I hear things, not like people saying weird things, or like schizophrenic, but like
Glad you clarified.
I hear sounds, I hear stuff, and it just kind of chimes in. It's like somebody's playing something to me, but no one else can hear it, just me.
Interesting.
And I grab a guitar and start writing it down. And usually it comes out just as melody and chord changes, and then the words just start to reveal themselves to me. And so this is one of them. I'm going to take a sip of water because
Please do. Keep hydrated, yes.
hydrate.
All right, we have J.C. Whitelaw here on Behind the Mic.
And this is called Lead Me On. Well, it all seems rosy, but it's all so complicated. Things just get crazy somehow. And I don't need my lover to become my mother. Just really like hanging out with you. But no matter how you take it, lead me on. No matter how you fake it, turn me on. Well, now this heart needs grieving, all from too much grieving. But she likes me every once in a while. Been living 6 feet under, but now we're lost asunder. Divided now and falling apart. But no matter how you take it, lead me on. Now this endless chatter, well now it just don't matter. But we can kick it round once in a while. You got your creature comforts to shelter from what falters. Just really wanna see you smile for a while. But no matter how you take it, turn me on. And no matter how you fake it, lead me on.
Nice.
Thanks.
You said something earlier that made me want to go back and ask you, because you were saying when your dad brought all those albums over and you were really listening to them.
Yeah.
The way you said that, it was like you really were listening for the production value as well as the music.
Yes. As well as a musician, I am a producer and an engineer.
Yes, that's what I was.
true.
You do a lot of that. So interesting that early on you were already thinking those things about an album. So what were you kind of listening for or looking
I
for?
was just really curious how you got those sounds. I mean, the guitar sounds I was hearing was just like just these like slightly distorted kind of things, and I was coming from nowhere in the sense of understanding how that actually works. So I would hear all these cool sounds and be like, how do you create those things?
Yeah.
To the points where you're trying, things around you, just organic sounds start to sound musical. And
What do you mean by that?
You hear not necessarily like just wind blowing, but like you can hear like wood rubbing together, or the sounds of rope that was holding a boat to a dock. You know, you'd like play it and you hear sound. It
Wow.
would make these sounds, or tapping on little or boat docks, or everything has a tonality or a sound.
So when you hear those things, do you think, okay, how can I put this into the music?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, it was more of a. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. It was just kind of one of those things, but it was always fascinating to me.
Interesting.
Big wires on telephone poles, these like support wires, would make the coolest sound if you hit it with like a monkey wrench. It was like, and it would resonate. And so I'd start to put these together. Like sonically, I would hear things. So then, as I started to learn more about guitars and amplifiers and stuff like that, then it all clicked. It was like, oh, that's how they did that. That's it all kind of revealed itself to me. And I'm always going after that kind of cool guitar sound or real organic sound.
Do you still do that when you hear a song and you hear something you think, okay, and in your head you're going,
oh yeah,
like a game. What was that?
And that's been a hindrance when listening to songs because unless it's a great song right out the get-go, but I'm always listening to the production of it first before I'm listening to the song, which kind of is unfortunate for the songwriter trying to reach me. And then I get there. I eventually get there, but. It's always one of those things. It's like, I know how they did that. I know how they did that. And it kind of robs you sometimes of that. But if you hear something really cool, it's got you.
Yeah,
You get a good song and you get a good sound with it. Like the stuff I'm playing for you today, it's like really built, not necessarily as a singer-songwriter kind of thing, because there's this whole thing going on around that song, which really takes it to the next level. But you always have to start with something decent,
right?
As the ground
the
floor.
Bass, yeah,
the basis of it. Yeah.
Do you go back to songs and think, once you get the basic, the song and the melody, you've got the song, and then you go back and try to come up with these different sounds.
Yes. Yeah. Then that's the
fun part, I would
fun
think.
part. Yeah. It's lots of fun.
Yeah.
And usually I'm going after something that turned me on when I was, listening to records. A little bit of an overridden tube amplifier in a certain way, or a certain guitar, a certain sound, a Telecaster or a Gibson or something. You know what I mean? It's and then a room sound. And,
right.
And the actual sound of the room is really important. And throughout most of my recording, I've tried to go after like real organic tones. And but in the 80s and stuff, everybody wanted to crunch it all down to nothing and then run it through reverb. Reverb chambers or echo things, and not even cool ones. Like everything went digital, and I mean it was cool,
but overused.
But yeah, it just became as anything that's kind of cool and wonderful, everything gets weird sounding
until someone comes up with something new.
Until something cool, right? Until something new again. And there's lots of really cool innovations, but it always comes back to organic tone to me, and which is an interesting story and a cool little segue of how this record was made.
Okay.
I was really fortunate enough to record in this old house in Grosse Pointe.
Oh.
And my girlfriend's uncle, Jim Belanca Jr., is an executor of this estate. And the home was part of this estate. And it's this massive, beautiful house. And I got to go just see it because I love architecture and that kind of thing. And walk into this house, and it's just beautiful and just gorgeous. And, Pewabic tiles in all the bathrooms. And
nice.
But what really struck me was the sound of this house. The foyer, was the best EMT reverb plate I've ever heard in my life. And the library was like this just dense sound. And then there was a kind of like a ballroom / living room, but you could fit 2 concert grand Steinways in there, which is actually Mr. Froelich, the man's home, whose estate it was. He had actually donated the home to the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. And they were in it for quite a number of years as far as the directors, and whenever they had big time people coming through town, they would all go there. They would all stay there. And that's what Mr. Froelich did too. He had all these unbelievable talents coming in and out this door, and he was a piano player, from my understanding. And they would jam. They would play and he had 2 concert Steinways in this room. Oh well, so back to the room. So, and it's empty. There's nothing in the house because they're putting it up for sale.
Right.
And I walk into this house and it's like, like the most incredible sound. And I'm like, oh my.
You were like a kid in a candy store,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure.
Like tonality was just driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Cool. So he asked me, he said, well, what'd you think of the house? And I'm like, God, it's amazing. I'd love to record in there. He goes, oh, well, that would be, too crazy. It's too echoey. And I was like, no. This would be.
Well, you had an ear for you knew
cool.
what you were looking for in the song. So.
Yeah. So he said, well, go for it.
Cool.
And so I called up a good buddy of mine who's been playing with me in productions over the last 10, 15 years, Jim Sparks and Jim McGarrian came over to do rhythm tracks with me. And I was just going to cut demo. Mm-hmm. I've got a handful of songs. And, well, more than a handful of songs. I've got a lot of songs. But
you said you had like 7 albums or so. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but and that's already done.
Oh,
it's
okay.
like this was relatively new stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I said, come on, we'll just check it out.
Yeah.
And they came into the room. They're like, oh, my God, no way. This isn't going to work at all. Because it was, boom, it was crazy.
Yeah. But that's a unique sound in itself.
Yeah, and I did it real minimal. Like I only mic'd the drum kit with 3 mics. So it's all, and I found the right place to, put them to catch the room, but still catch the initial signal.
Right.
And it helps that Jimmy's an incredible drummer and beautiful sounding drum kits. So we cut these things, and we walk into the library where I'd set up my little control room and started listening to the playbacks, and it was like, holy
Magic,
shit,
huh?
this is cool. This is really kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then it went from like, well, maybe we should think about taking it to the next level in the sense of actually releasing it as opposed to just for our own listening. So Uncle Jimmy came over to the house and he said, let's hear what because I wanted to play it for him. It's like, because he thought, oh, it's going to be too crazy. And he hears it back and he's like, wow, this is really neat. He said, what do you do now? I said, well, now I layer in guitars and vocals. And where are you going to do that? And I said, I don't know. I'll figure it out. And he goes, well, there's nothing going on here. Why don't you just stay here?
Go for it. Oh, that's cool.
So I was there for 6 months.
Oh, wow. So they held off selling the house?
Well, no, there were realtors and people coming through.
Okay.
And I wasn't taking up a huge amount of space. It wasn't like there's spaghetti all over the floors or anything. It was very tidy.
Okay. Well, that's cool. All right, so this is the new album that you so you did the whole thing in this house.
I did. And so that's going from the whole singer-songwriting thing to the tonality of these songs, and they're really built. It's a rock and roll record. There's no doubt in it. As a matter of fact, there's one acoustic guitar.
Okay. So when can we expect this album?
I am thinking. Well, I'm going to release a single on March 23rd.
Oh, coming up.
The first single from the record. And then we're playing on the 24th. It's not like a release party or anything. We're just playing our first real
rehearsal.
Our first real gig. Our first real gig.
Okay.
Because we actually debuted a few months back in Ferndale.
Okay.
So that single's coming out, and then we're doing this show. Did I say the 24th?
Yes.
We're playing at Caju Cafe on the 24th.
Yes. Okay. Cool. All right.
So, and then we're doing pretty much the first set's going to be the whole record, and then the second set, I'm getting together with my friend Barbara Payton.
Oh, love Barbara.
Great
voice.
Who's joining our little band, The Disciples.
Okay.
We're into. She's a disciple. She doesn't know that she is, but she is now. And we're going to do a cool set of some rock and roll that we grew up and love. So,
she's got the great rock and roll voice.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she's been backing up Bob Seger.
She's been playing with Bob for quite a number of years now. And Barb and I was in her band back early thousands, and for a few years we played and have an amazing chemistry with each other, and we've always threatened each other. Got to do that rock and roll thing again. Let's do that again. And we keep talking about it, and I said, well, I'm pulling the plug, and I'm pulling the call. So she's coming in to do that.
Oh, fun.
Us.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, good. How about another song?
Sure.
You look that way, like the guitar's over there.
Yeah, I did. I was looking for the electric. Okay, this one.
No, that one.
Yeah, I'm running through my little list in my head. So it'd be kind of a little more ballady. On the record, I've actually got bagpipes playing on this track.
Oh, fun.
So it's really cool. It's really fun. It's a song called Still Some Time. Kid, you're gonna run out of time. You know you need to make up your mind. Forgot it. I freaked out. Sorry. Kids, you're gonna run. Take two. Kids, you're gonna run out of time. You know you need to make up your mind. Go on and leave your troubles. Leave them on down the line. 'Cause kid, you're gonna run out of time. Well, could it be that I did it wrong? You turn around, then he's gone, all gone. She told me there's no one waiting. Guess I didn't listen this time. So kid, you need to make up your mind. Yeah. Tried but undaunted to find peace of mind. Derailed and still haunted, but I believe there's still some time. A glass to us all and wish you Godspeed to who falls. And God only knows how we'll make it from behind this brick wall. I'm sure not to miss your last call. Yeah. Through it all. Thanks.
Yeah, the J.C. Whitelaw. Nice. Is that? Did you say that was on the new one?
Yeah, that's on the new record too.
Okay.
It's a song about not being able to. When you're really close to someone and they've moved on and you don't have a chance to catch up to them before they shuffle off.
Do you? Is it easy for you to come up with the inspiration for writing songs? I mean, you said you had so many, so there must be some kind of inspiration that keeps you going.
It's just when the channels are open. When I hear them, it's so cool right now with this kind of technology.
Oh yeah,
because I've got a tape recorder in my hand all the time, and I'm open to hearing it. And I could be anywhere, and all of a sudden something just pops in the head, starts playing to me. And I'll grab it, and that's a good idea, or just run it down, just kind of la-da-da-da-da-da, sing it into it, and usually forget about it. And then when I start going through, because I've got 60 bits of something, and I was like, oh wow, and then that'll inspire the next thought, and
voila, you never lose
a
your
song
phone.
kind of I have actually sometimes.
Oh no.
Yeah, but luckily enough I'm able to recover. I find it, or I remember that one was kind of cool and that one really stuck with me. But then they'll hang around for years at times, and then it'll finally be like, oh, that's what was getting channeled. That's how I found it.
It'll come out when it's ready to come out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there was a lot of a lot of crazy stuff happened in my life in the last few years, and luckily enough, the antenna was working well, and I believe it was being able to channel what I felt or what was going on, because it was really hard to go through what I did. My, I mean, in a nutshell, in September of 2014, my father was murdered.
Oh my gosh!
And in Bloomfield, and by a crazy worker dude. He was doing stuff around the condo in which he was living.
I remember this story.
And he was, he was then let go or fired, and he came back and he killed my dad. And
wow. Sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, thanks.
I didn't know at the time. I remember hearing the story on the news, and I didn't realize that, the connection there.
Yeah, so it was, I'm really crazy. I mean, there's 100 stories on that. But the
God,
good news is that with the support of my friends and family and music, I was able to get through that in a really, with this record, it's not that it's all about, that kind of crazy stuff, though it is, though it's palatable, it's not, it's,
music is always a cure-all,
it's been incredibly cathartic and a big part of saving my head, I think, in a big way. Besides Rosalie. Thank you, Ro.
Wow. Oh my God.
So that was that's the whole idea of that record. And it was actually, I'm calling it Hammered, because I'm a big fan of double entendre. And I mean, the dark side of it was that he was killed that way.
Yes,
and,
I remember.
And pretty gruesome. And the other side of it was I definitely took solace in single malt Scotch, which I am proud to say that I am. Glenn Morangi owes me a lot, because I'm single-handedly responsible for their sales of skyrocketing in southeastern Michigan. So I'll be waiting for that case.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, and not that I'm saying that that's cool or anything, but it was definitely a medicinal part of my.
Well, that's a horrible thing you had to go through. And oh my gosh.
To just, it took the edge off enough to be able to start channeling this stuff, because I did on a really creative end. Is usually when I went into the studio, I kind of pretty much had it all figured out, and this was not like that at all. I had structure and I had some kind of arrangement, but I hadn't really finished it, and I got to do that in this house. It really opened me up to different processes, to be able to sing things and just kind of not even think, just roll the tape and just start saying things. Yeah. And that, whoops, sorry. Sorry, Ryan. I made you jump. And work it out that way, which was really, really cool. So thank you.
Music
John
is
Froelich,
medicine
Ed
sometimes.
Froelich, Mr. Froelich, Uncle Jimmy. Rosalie, if it wasn't for you,
you got to have that support.
It would have never happened. Yeah. It would have just never happened.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So sorry to hear about. I remember hearing that. So.
Yeah, it's a
bad.
A crazy story.
All right, Pam exam.
That'll be the next one. That'll be the next show.
All right, just some questions. This helps you just see sometimes a different side of the musicians or whatever. Cool. First one, fill in the blank. I wish I could.
Wow.
Deep. Don't have to be deep.
Oh, it hits me just that deep. So now I have to think of something.
Oh, no, if you want to. I'm sorry. Should have stopped you there.
No,
you were ready to say something.
No, it just, what's the question?
I wish I could, continue.
I wish I could cure cancer.
That's a good answer. Simple as that.
Sorry. Now the simpler one would be, I wish I could have a drink right now.
Oh, we are in hockey town. Maybe it's a waitress.
Yeah, come on down and have a drink with me.
We'll have to think about that for next time. All right, your favorite non-music pastime?
Non-music, film editing.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I do for a day job.
Okay.
And I really, really like it.
Oh, fun.
It's really creative and really interesting, and I learn so much by doing that particular process. And I film surgery.
Okay. Yes, you work with Henry Ford.
Yeah, I work
yes.
at, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Also, I'll give them a plug.
You-
Henry Ford Health System. And,
You film the surgeries.
Yeah, I work in the Department of Surgery, and I film surgeries, and we make educational pieces for. I mean, this is part of what I do. I do
Right.
a bunch of other things there as well, but that's my main.
Do you,
thing
I mean,
that
do you
really
literally
do.
have
Oh, yeah.
body parts?
Oh
and,
yeah, get
and
right in
blood
there.
and go.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, so you must have a solid stomach.
You know, and good thing and bad thing, but
But it's a learning tool for the doctors.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm helping new surgeons come up and actually see that, because they literally learn by drawings and text, and I'm like,
Okay.
well, you have to see it
yeah.
get your hands in there.
Yeah.
They're like,
So
well, I
you're
don't
up
get-
above,
I don't get my
filming
hands
down.
in there. Everything's sterile. Everything's cool.
Oh, are you actually right on the main the floor?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm in there because there's certain angles.
Excuse
you
me, I
get
need to
it,
get this shot.
Sometimes, actually, they're very accommodating. They're like, you got to see this. And I'm like, cool,
okay.
got it.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's really fascinating work.
What's the most strange? What is the strangest surgery you've ever seen?
Well, the cool thing was I was working with another guy out, or Ed Prima. Hi, Ed. I was working with Ed, and we were doing a bunch of national speaker stuff. And that started to slow down, and he was going in another direction. And so I went to this. They put out a request for somebody to make a pitch at Henry Ford Department of Surgery for this other thing that we were working on.
Okay.
Sorry, long story longer. So my boss, who's the chair of the Department of Surgery, says, we'll kind of ease you into the whole surgery thing. We'll go do stuff that I can't really see anything, because he's afraid, because they're worried, maybe I'll pass out. And I'm like, no, okay. And he goes, oh, well, we're doing this really cool thing with robotic surgery, which, there's no external incisions, just holes with trocars and, these things going in different body.
Okay.
And you see it in camera. You see it, and the surgeons are doing this surgery on camera and on
they're
video
looking.
monitors.
They're not looking down at the body.
So the one guy had his aorta had been adhered to the inside of his chest cavity, and they were remedying this. And they said, go check that out, film that. I was like, okay, cool. So basically, I'm standing there for like 5 hours watching them on these monitors, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool, but okay, yeah, the robot's doing its thing, and they're really doing well. They can't get the robot arm to actually get into position to do this one thing after 4 hours of setup, because it's like
very precise.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're incredible. These guys are just genius. And they said, well, we got to do it traditional. So they crack him open from stem to stern and fix him. And I was smiling like this for a week.
Not too many people smile when they're, you got their chest wide open.
It was a spiritual experience for me.
Oh, interesting.
To watch a human being and what makes us tick and work, and then watch these guys save you, it was remarkable.
Maybe you were a doctor in a previous life or something.
I should have been a surgeon.
Yeah. Well,
I'm working at it.
Okay.
I'm learning. I'm teaching myself, just like guitar.
Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting. Oh, wow. Kind of gives you the heebie-jeebies a little bit, but that's okay.
It can. Some folk will get a little freaked out by it, but it's a thing, and
very cool.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's fun.
We make other movies
fun.
too.
Yeah, sure.
It is. We make other movies too. Ro and I make other movies too. We just did a couple of documentaries for Associated Sacred Heart schools, and that's been a remarkable experience.
We
too.
talked about my voiceover. I'm on air. People know me. And doing this thing, but voiceover is also my business, and my goal. Documentary, feature film, voice that.
You're
it's
in the
out
book.
there now, and
You're in the book.
That is what I really. I could just see myself doing. That is my goal. So, kind of tangent there, but anyway, if there is there a quote you live your life by or think of often?
You don't go to hell for comedy.
Love it.
That's Rosalie's too, but I think of that all the time.
Don't go to hell for comedy. I like that.
And my other favorite quote, and can you swear on this air? Probably not.
No,
Well,
that's not.
Well, yeah, right. Well, that's my other favorite quote. Is I've blanked up bigger shows than this. In other words, they're just supposed to keep you like,
Yeah.
keep you under cool. It's the opposite effect. Makes sense to me.
Like it. Okay. Let's see. If you could have any one person in your band or collaborate with, and they can be dead or alive at this point, who would that be?
David Bowie.
Oh. Well, you knew that off the...
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been
Brilliance.
incredible. I got pretty close. I did. I did a couple of records with a couple of songs, I should say, with Carlos Alomar, who's Dave Bowie's guitar player.
Yes, okay.
Back in the day, and he co-wrote Fame, and I was very fortunate enough to get to work with him, and learned massive amounts. And he's just one of the sweetest, coolest guys. And I got to write with him, or I got to write and play and record with him, and that was what I kept thinking was, oh God, I just got he's like,
Can you help me out?
I am one phone call away from David Bowie. I want to do that, but unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to do that.
Okay. That would have been cool, though.
But it would have been fun.
Yeah.
Actually, mostly for Rosalie, who's probably the biggest Bowie fan I've ever met. And,
lost when we lost him.
Yeah, that was hard. That was a hard one.
All right, one final question here.
Oh, yeah.
Most interesting place you've ever visited?
Most interesting place I ever visited.
Best place, interesting place, whatever.
Most interesting? I guess we got to go with the interesting. Florence, Italy. I think that was probably the most interesting place I've ever seen, because everywhere you look, it's like art is just bleeding everywhere. It's like,
as a creative, that probably just
it's just remarkable.
Yeah,
incredible town.
Cool.
I'd have to say that.
Okay, all right.
I think right now.
Right now, yeah. You'll be driving home, go, I should have said.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love like Scotland. I love going back to Scotland, and I'm due.
Cool.
I'm actually due for another trip real soon. But that's pretty remarkable. Though it's as far as like stimuli, it's a little bit different in that sense. But
yeah. When you go to these places, it sounds like you travel. And,
we do. We try to travel.
Do you get inspiration when you're in a different country?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, and. Like a couple of years back, I was actually talking to you about that before. We were in Sicily.
Sicily, yeah.
And we went to this old mansion, which actually I think they shot some of The Godfather there. I could be totally wrong, but they did. They filmed there.
Okay.
Well, and they opened up this big mansion house, which and there was in the doorway, it was all the ceilings were all concave.
Okay.
And so, like, it was, again, the whole sound thing. Actually, and I stood there for like 10 minutes recording things, singing into the ceiling and recording it on my phone. And I was like, oh my God, that was incredible. And had some ideas. And I think actually some of those ideas made it on this record.
That just amazes me how you just, these little things. I mean, most people would not even think to do that or think that far, oh, I better get something down on tape, recorded here. I mean,
well, I'm really like ADD,
that just amazes
so
me.
I have to do it or forget it.
The wheels are constantly turning, which is great.
Yeah.
You never know what will come up, but I just love the fact that you're so open to anything around you, and
sure. I mean, and it's not. I'm not always that open-minded, but
more than some people, I would think.
But when it's channeling, it's channeling.
Yeah.
I'm really lucky. I'm really, really lucky because I can, I have that world that I can check into.
Yeah.
It tends to.
All right, we need another song here.
One more.
One more, please.
One more. My pleasure.
If you wouldn't mind.
Not at all.
Indulge me.
I love different tunings.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
sorry. I think this time change. It was spring ahead yesterday, and I think this really.
Are you done with it? Are you starting? Because it's like getting on 1 o'clock. Are you?
Well, because I'm on the air on Sunday mornings, and I just can't sleep in a little bit, and it's like you lose that hour. And,
it can mess you up.
I'm a little wacky today. Okay, anyway. All right.
I'm wacky every day. I'm with you.
Don't change.
This is called Just Getting By, I think. Yeah, I remember now. What's to keep all this from crashing down? What keeps good fortune from turning right around? Where shattered dreams get lost and never found. Deafened by voices that don't ever make a sound. Could it be I'd been so wrong? Yeah. Been blinded by scars that leave no visible clues. And simplified solutions seem so easily refused. I'm pacified with substance that trades blame for lame abuse, and surrender to all when there's just nothing left to lose. Swear I never saw it coming. Still I keep on hanging on, and it makes no sense at all. Sold on a story that there's some real reason why. No way that living means just getting by. I'm just getting by. Ooh yeah, it's alright. Yeah. Still I keep on hanging on, and it makes no sense at all. Sold on a story that there's some real reason why. Yeah, the way that living means just getting by. Just getting by. Ooh yeah, it's alright. Ooh yeah, yeah. Thanks a lot, Pam.
Is that on the new album?
It is.
Okay, what's the name of the new album?
New album's called Hammered.
Hammered. Oh, that's right.
It is pretty
Yes.
double entendre.
And it's not a band name. It's just J.C. Whitelaw, right?
Yeah, I think that there actually is a band. It's called JC and the Disciples.
Disciples, right? Okay.
Check them out on Facebook.
so much in my head right now what you were talking about. Yeah, you said
no,
that.
That's all good.
All right, good.
Yeah,
and
the band's called JC and the Disciples.
You
It's
have
with Jim Sparks and Jim Drosbach and Jim McGearian and a band of Jimmies, which is awesome because I'm surrounded by wonderful Jimmies these days.
And so the single's coming out the 23rd, and
That's
you're doing
plan.
the Caju Cafe
On the 24th.
24th. Okay, so
Hope to see you. Please
Yeah.
come out. Tours are at 9.
Okay, all right, fun. So that's cool. We'll look forward to the full album and.
Well, thank
and
you.
all of that.
I'll, as soon as it comes around, I'll fire one your way because it's way different. It's it's an electric guitar Detroit rock and roll record, which I'm really proud of.
Good. Looking forward to it. All
Thanks
right.
so much for
and you have a
having me.
website that people can go find you and.
Haven't built that. I kind of
To be determined.
That'll be to be announced. I know that Facebook is the best way to get in touch with that kind of stuff at this point, and then it'll be a free download eventually.
Okay.
So I'll be sure to pass it on.
All right. Well, you'll find him on Facebook.
Yes, you will.
Want
You will
to do
find me on
that?
Facebook.
So,
And YouTube.
and YouTube. Do you? 'Cause you mentioned earlier the Ash Can Van Gogh band that you were in with Billy, and I don't know who else was in that.
Mary
McGuire. Yes.
And actually, we're still playing. And over the past few years, we've been getting together and playing because
that's
it's
cool.
just
That's
so cool to be able to. We've got such history with each other, and it's just. And we sing. We all three of us sing, and we sound really great together.
Well, 3 great voices there. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Very kind of you. And so actually, I think there's a hit on the Ashcan after the Disciples date. I think there's we're out at Whiskey 6 in Grosse Pointe. It's a wonderful little place. You should check that out too.
I've heard good things about that place. Yeah.
Yes, you should come out. Let me know when you're coming out. I'm right up the road, and I'm there quite a bit.
All right. Well, it has been a pleasure talking with you. Some great stories, and I was a little worried. Is like there's not much information online about you.
There's nothing out there. And it's like that's by design.
Yeah. Well, we found out a lot today, so it is now out there, JC.
It's true.
So it's been a pleasure. Sounding great, and look forward to the new album that'll be coming out very soon here. So
thank you.
You're welcome
so much, and I love what you're doing, and I'll continue supporting that. But
yeah, well, thank you. I mean, that's what it's all about is local music here, and we do a lot of that here at MusicTown. In fact, the AAA studios at MusicTown, right inside of Hockeytown. Oh, we can go get that drink now. I'm sure there's waitresses down there.
Right. Come on down.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is, 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Absolutely.
And again, thanks also to Children's Hospital of Michigan Foundation. Without those 2 sponsors, this would not happen. We do a lot here at MusicTown, and it's all about the music. So that's what I like to do. Bring in the local artist and share your love of music and your talents.
Thank you, Pam. Really, what you're doing is really, really cool.
Yeah,
and,
I love doing this. So
and thanks again.
I always like to help the underdogs, the local musicians.
Thanks, Ryan.
And Ryan back there and Dave, thank you guys as well.
Sorry.
So
thanks, Dave. Thank you.
So thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I do appreciate that. Another great show here on Behind the Mic. I'm Pam Rossi. Have a great week.